Hey guys, welcome back to another video of Impossible Mowers. You wouldn't believe it, but we got more snow. However, we've been getting some pretty warm temperatures. The snow's starting to melt pretty quick here, and I figured today would be a good excuse to do a video on getting this Poulon a little bit serviced here. She's seen a lot of winter battle damage, and I'm hoping, you know, if next week is the weather they say it's going to be for here, we might even be able to do some mud mowing or some snow mowing, something with the off-road liking. So I'm hoping we can use this unit to do that. So stay tuned. Like I said in today's video, guys, I'm hoping we can get this unit fixed up and just give it a bit of a facelift. Every winter we plow with this unit, and let me tell you something. This thing has seen a lot of snow this year, way more than what we had. You can see some videos here, hopefully. You can see, I mean, just lots of snow, 18 plus inches this year. And it did every bit of it, except for that one storm recently we had. It definitely met its match, and I'll show you here what happened. That's what happened to our plow frame. Look at that. Now these are not easy to twist. You really gotta work them to do that. And I was coming down the hill pretty quick, and I hit just a solid sheet of ice, and I hit it at such an amount of speed to where it sheared the two bolts here, sheared one bolt there, and there's only one bolt hanging it on, and it bent the frame. Now what I'm probably going to do in today's video is just take it off, repairing it. I'll probably make an Instagram post on it or something, but I don't just want to repair it. Seeing that there's weak points on here, obviously, I'm going to see if I can't weld some gussets on it this year and see if we can't try to beef it up a little better. The plow frame on the Poulon's looking pretty good. I mean, there's no bends, no cracks. It took it like a champ. The steel plates we have going down the frame rails here, solid as a rock. So we got lucky on that front. But, you know, you can see, took a little bit of damage in the grill. I might try to see if I can hunt for a new one, because this one's just getting old. This had a crack in it when I first got it. It was very tiny, and I don't know if you can see it, but right there, this little line. And it started there, and then it just kind of worked its way around. But for today's video, I'm hoping we can jack up the front end, remove both the front tires, maybe throw some air in this one. I'm seeing it's a little low, but not by much. Grease up the front axle shafts, grease up the steering shaft, do an alignment, look at the transmission, because every time I put it in 6th gear, there's that kind of play. Now that doesn't seem like a big deal. However, it is a very big deal, because every time we put it in 6th gear, it overshoots, and I end up going out of 6th gear. I end up lunging out of 6th gear, and then it just kind of loses its gearing. And if you keep doing that over and over and over again, you might shave down those gears, you might wear them down, or, you know, even worse, you could shift it too hard at one point, and then you bend the arm. That goes around the transmission. So we're gonna have a look at that arm, and then we're gonna see if we can't fix the hood here a little bit. Not so much the hood, but more making it easier for it to come off. I did the wiring job here, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I had to get it done quick. So we're gonna go back to this and neaten this up, because this is just not good enough in my opinion. I think we could definitely make the wires a lot more neater and have a better unpinning kind of situation here, because this is connected to the hood. I gotta make sure I can take these pins off without a problem, so I can take the hood off and service the front end, or service the motor. The other problem we had with this Poulon was it got so cold to where the throttle linkage snapped in the front, so we ended up having to shorten it, and I want to do a better job because it's a little too high of an idle for me right now, and I feel like we kind of rushed it a little too much. So we're going to look at that front end and try to adjust its idling, and if we need more throttle movement, we'll go up here and do that. So we got a lot of work cut out for us today. However, you know, I really want to press upon you guys, always take care of your machinery. You know, I could feel this thing starting to struggle a little bit, and there comes a point where you got to feel out the machine and say to yourself, if I keep going, you know, it might do some very serious damage. So that's why we're here today. And like I said, hopefully next week we could do some mud mowing or some snow mowing, something to do with the trail. The snow at the moment is just a little too high for this unit. So I'm hoping it'll melt. It's supposed to get down to the 70s, up to the 70s. So I'll take it. So without any ado, what I'll probably do first is tackle the throttle setup. That's more crucial, and then we'll work our way down to the nitty-gritty axle stuff. I think that'll be the best move, because I don't want to work on this when it's got jack stands on it. It just makes it a little tough. So what we'll probably start with is the wiring here, neaten this up, and like I said, make it a little easier to connect and disconnect. So we'll be right back. Alrighty guys, I got my clippers, my zip ties, and crimpers, and electrical tape, and all that good stuff, because we are going to be needing those for today. Now, if I believe my thoughts are correct, we got the positive, the negative, the white, and the yellow. So I believe all of these are pinned except for this one. So what we're really going to do is cut this, splice it, put some pins in it so we can disconnect it. And then untape these and try to make this a little neater, and then take this off the resting spot on the fuel pump, because that's another problem. I don't want to have it resting on the fuel pump because it's just not at all a good place. So yeah, start with that. So I guess we'll start with a cut, try to make it nice and neat around here. Perfect. And then we'll grab our crimpers, find the right size. Hopefully you guys can see this well enough. A little smaller than that. Whew, that hurt. Righty. Grab the second one here. I think that was a little better. I might try to get some better crimpers, because that does kind of suck. Okay. Got our lines just like that. Perfect. We can grab our bits here. Whew. Not gonna lie, that kind of hurts. That's okay. Okay. So we're gonna have this side be the pin side here. Give it a little bit of a twist. Want to make sure it fits in nice and good. If it sticks out like it is right there, actually, it's kind of all right. Yeah, it's all right. Usually if there's too much copper coming out on the other side, or if you have too much copper showing, it's just not going to fit all the way down, and you're going to end up with too much. So you know, you want to cut it to your liking. And you can see here on this on this these wire crimpers, you can see it's color coded. That looks like green, but it's actually yellow. So we're just going to crimp these according to the color. So we can tell the yellow wire is a certain gauge or a certain amount here. So we're just going to go crimp, crimp, crimp. We're not done yet. What we're also going to want to do is on this, not all of them are the same, but some of these, they come with them down here, a way for it to get pressed down. So these two pins on each side lock in on the copper. On my end, it's right here, these little pointy bits on the other side. So all you do is just line it up according to the pointy bits here. Crimp. Oh, that wasn't a good one. There we go. One there. Try to get one more. Perfect. It's not the best way to do it, but I mean, it's on there nice and solid. It's not going to come off. And if you want to, feel free to electrical tape this just as an extra precaution. If it's a positive you're working on, you want to make sure that this isn't going to be touching the hood, or in my case, any metal parts in this section. So that's something we're going to have to figure out with that positive when we get to it. But all we do is the same thing, but we're just going to use the female end. This might be a bit too much copper showing. Nope, perfect. Okay, same thing. Oops, sorry for that. I believe I may have misspoke. I think the colors here are actually not for the wire, but more for the actual bit. So we have a red bit here, so you'd want to do it on the red, obviously. But I mean, it's whatever works. And then try to get spike in. Boom. Spike it right. Come on, baby. It's a patient game. There, perfect. Nice and solid. And now we have a way to connect and disconnect the wires. So this is nice, but as we go along off camera, and I'm probably just gonna do these off camera because I don't think you guys want to be sitting here for 6 years watching me do this. You're also gonna want to think about, or in my case, I'm gonna have to think about where are we gonna put these pins. I can't have them all in a line like this because if this touches, it's gonna arc out. It could melt my wiring. I could blow a fuse. I could blow the switch. I mean, I don't want to burn anything. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to try to find ways to zip tie this to something, but also make it very accessible. The thing is to think about the future. If I want to take this hood off, I'm not going to want to just zip tie this to the cowl. Because, you know, it's going to be, I'm going to have to cut the zip ties off, undo the clips. You want it to try to be as easy as possible without making it sketchy. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do, but you guys get the idea here. So I'm going to move on off camera, and the next time you see me, hopefully this will all be done. Alrighty guys, just like that, it's looking a lot better. I took the wires, spliced out what I had to, and just rerouted them by the oil dipstick so they're not hanging low near the fuel system here, because we definitely don't want to have that. And it's actually pretty decent. I think I gotta wait till I can go to Harbor Freight or maybe go on Amazon tonight and see if I can't get some plastic, a heat shrink or something for this positive cable, because I think for now, all I can really do is just keep electrical taping it and then undo the tape to take the hood off. It sucks, but it's what I gotta do. But it's not gonna be like that forever. In fact, probably tonight I will buy some, and you'll see an Instagram post on it at some point soon. Not sure when. Now with that said, you always want to think, like I said, about the future, and you also want to think about what this is doing. This is going to be doing off-roading. It's going to be seeing bumps. It's going to be seeing, you know, possible rollovers. I wouldn't want to go that far, but you always want to dress up your electrical system, your fuel system, anything to experience the worst, because it's right when shit hits the fan. You don't want that stuff to go against you. You know, if I just leave this hanging here and I hit a bump and it arcs, there goes my fuse, or there goes my switch, or there goes my $30 lights, or whatever. So you always want to make sure you always think about that stuff. Now, with that said, I have these kind of draped over the fuel pump. I didn't zip tie them on there again because that's really the best I can do. Some of you might be wondering, why don't I just cut it really flush right here to the frame, between the frame and the hood, so that only this part is clipped. And the reason why I can't do that is because this black wire here is connected to 3 small wires, which then connects to the loom. And it's a really long wire. And sure, I mean, I could cut it, make it a little shorter, and try to splice it back, but these small wires are really tough to splice, and I don't really think it's going to be that big of a deal. But hopefully I can show you guys here. It should come off. So we got, let's see, pin number 1, pin number 2, and then of course the pin we just put on. If it'll come off. Sometimes these kind of take a little bit. Wow, that's not coming off. Might have to loosen. Sometimes right here where they connect, hopefully you guys can see that. When they're brand new, they're really tight, and when you slip these on, they usually have a really hard time coming off. But I didn't think it'd be this hard. There we go. Okay, I might have to go through that pin here and make sure we open that a little wider. Don't want to tear this wiring off. And then of course the last one right here. Yeah, this one's tough too. All right, I'll have to go back and look at that. Okay, and then see, we have wiring separated. Take the hood off. It's nowhere near the best, and in fact, if I'm being honest with you guys, I'm probably gonna order that stuff tonight and try to make this loom a little neater. But it's a lot better than what it was, and that's okay with me. So we're gonna try to take this hood off. Hopefully nothing goes wrong. All right, hood is off. That's what we like to see. So now that the hood is off, we can now tackle this front end here. Alrighty guys, now that we got the hood off, we can start working in the front here. Although I do want to say, before we start working in the front, this is the reason why we get the wiring loom boxes, the marine boxes. They're also known as fuse boxes for our rigs, because of this. It stops this kind of stuff from happening. It kind of neatens the wiring to a certain amount, and it's just way more nicer and easier. So I'll probably be ordering that this year for the scene, just to, I don't know, make it a little nice. So the front end here, wow, where do I start? This thing, it's running rough because, put this hood over to the side here. It's running rough because of this system right here. So what I'm gonna have to do is probably right here, cut off some more of this shielding so we have more throw, and we have more cable to work with, because right now this is full throttle. Roughly, that's roughly full throttle, and you can tell full throttle's there. We have every bit of it, but its idling point is not that far. It should be way farther down. It's way too high of an idle, and I also think I might have to tune the carburetor a little bit, because I did mess around with that. So we're going to be jumping around between those two things, and I think definitely this year an upgrade we're going to do with probably all the mowers is do drive-by-wire, because these cable things, they are known for breaking, and they're just fragile. They're not the best for the off-roading situation. That's why a lot of people use foot throttles for their mud mowers. So we'll be doing that. Let's see. Where do I want to start? I think what we'll do first actually is I'll just take this off, get this out of the way, put it in the back, save it for another time. And we'll start there. So finger snap. Boom, just like that. Got it all off. Now we are ready to tackle our throttle system here. Hopefully we can try to fix this without having to cut and pry too much away. So I'm going to grab this sucker. Alright, it's a star bit. And the thing is I lost my 3/8 bit. This is a 1/2 inch drive one. And I don't use 1/2 inch, but I think I might go to Harbor Freight this year and get some. Okay. So for those of you who do not know, by adjusting this, you're not only adjusting your throttle, but you're also adjusting how quick it is, I suppose. In other words, how much throw you have. If I have this all the way here, it's going to be pegged at full throttle. I'm not going to have any kind of control. If I have it too far down, I might not have enough travel in my throttle setup to actually get more throttle. However, you don't want it to be, you know, too far one way or the other. You kind of want it to be right at idle. So we're going to want to slap it right here, but we're going to also want to adjust this piece physically like that, because that's going to be the difference between getting possibly more throttle or none at all. So it's a tricky bit to deal with here, but when you do it long enough, you kind of get the idea. So what we're going to do is we have idle set up on the control panel, on the throttle linkage on the dashboard. You want to make sure that's on idle too, because you don't want to set something on idle and it's at full throttle on the top. So you do want to be mindful of that. So now that both parties are at idle, we're just going to put a little tension on it while we tighten it so it doesn't lose its tune or its position. Tighten this puppy up. Of course, not too much. Quarter turn, nice and solid. So now let's see how much travel we get now. See how there's no travel? That's because I did not set it on idle up there. I thought I did, but I did not. So it's actually a good way to show you guys what happens if you don't do her just right. So I'm going to loosen this up. You should see the cable move when I slap it on idle. There it has gone. Now we're at idle. So now we're just going to drag this back. Try to set this good here. There we go. Okay. There we go. Now it's at idle. Gonna want to pull this back. Not too hard. But we're going to want to do it just enough so it doesn't lose its position. And then we're going to tighten it. There's definitely better ways to do this, but gotta deal with what I got. Okay, nice and tight. So now let's see how much travel we get. That's okay. But see how, oh, there we go. Okay, let's see. That's not bad, but see how much we're leaving on the table? See how it's only going up to here? Full throttle's all the way here. That's a lot of throw we're just leaving on the table. That's a lot of throttle we could be using, but we're not. So that tells me we're gonna have to do some adjusting up here. And I thought of the future for this. That's why this has a bit more than what it needs. You can see how big it is. There's a lot of play here. It's exactly why you can't ever buy a mower. You can never get away with it. It always happens. You can never buy a mower and expect this to not happen. They all come with it. I believe they still make it to this day, and it's just junk. It can't handle the cold temperature. It cannot handle cold temperatures well, and it's just, no matter how you do it, brand new, old, it doesn't matter. They will always break on you. So, you know, it's just the lay of the land, really. Can't do much about it unless you upgrade it. So I'm gonna get back to you guys. This is probably gonna take me a fair bit. I'll probably take a few videos here and there as I'm digging into this, but I don't want to spend the whole video on this throttle here because we got more to do. So be right back. Alrighty guys, throttle's all fixed up, and we still got a little bit extra in case it happens to us again in the future. You can see we have a lot more travel now, and it is now hitting right there, full throttle. So that's the throttle fixed. Now some of you might be wondering, why don't I put a foot throttle setup on this? And here's the reason. I still use this to mow the lawn. So if you can imagine having your foot stay at the exact same position for hours, it can be tiring. I've thought about doing it and then making some sort of a cruise control, if you will. But, you know, this method works fine, and it really isn't that hard to get a drive-by cable system still using this method or this style, but more of a drive-by cable, because it's just, I mean, if you put your head to it, you put your brain to work, you can make it happen. So I don't know, that's just kind of my thinking, at least. I love the sport because you could be really creative with it. Anyways, gonna grab our pliers here, see if we can't get some light going here for you guys so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're just gonna start by greasing the axles first before we do any sort of alignment or anything such as that. Just because it's a little easier on me, and it'll work out just fine. All right, so you guys can see that pretty good here. Gonna grab some pliers, take these clips off. Always inspect your clips. Make sure there's no bends, cracks, or anything. I can see this clip
it looks just fine. What can happen is while you're mud mowing or something, you hit a branch, or maybe this rim comes in contact with something pretty rough, it could, and this is the reason why you got to make sure you have a tight system, it could choose the path of least resistance, being the clip, and bend it. And if it bends, it could crack, or if it just bends, it makes this clip not clip on really tight. So you could lose your clip and your front wheel comes off. You hit a rock just right. Anything can happen. You don't want it to happen. This is the reason why you always double check your stuff. Always make sure you got a washer as well. Washer looks good, no cracks in it. But the axle's looking a little dry. It's not terrible because we do service this all the time, but I can tell it's getting a little dry. And you can see there's the proof in the pudding right here. Hopefully you guys can see this. Right here, there's a lot of lubrication happening here. Maybe not a whole bunch, but there's something. And then as you go back, it's actually losing its lubrication. So it's pretty dry right here. That's a pretty common thing to have happen. Sometimes your tire, if it's not tight, can wander and move that grease to different positions. Or if you just don't service it all the time, you'll get dry spots. And you can see here, we haven't serviced this in a hot minute. I think the last time we serviced this mower as far as greasing the axle shafts go, I want to say it was back in October of last year, maybe September. So this tells me I'm going to have to start greasing this a little more often. And usually if you get it on one side, the story's the same on the other side, sometimes. Not all the time that's true, because each wheel could be doing something different. So in this case, we're going to be greasing this by hand. People will tell you don't have to, because you do come with these grease nipples. This one has one right there. I always do this by hand, because one thing that these grease nipples do not do is remove any kind of material very well. It pushes out grease, but not all the time it pushes out material. I have had cases where I do use the nipples and, you know, they grease it and it's great, but there's still pebbles and stuff left in here, and it may not seem like a big deal, but as you wear that tire over and over, you spin it, and as time goes on, that rock or those rocks or pebbles or whatever debris is in here is going to start scraping along the shaft, and it could make your shaft thinner. It could cause a lot of wobbling problems. So it could cause different spacing between here and the wheel. I mean, I just always like to get in there personally myself. But also, it's just really easy to do. It's right here. It's available. Not that hard. I'm sure on some mowers it's a little more trickier. But I at least have the grace of having that with me. So, I'm going to grab my Scott's rags. And where did I put my grease? Oh, my grease is somewhere around here. I always keep a bottle of it. But before we put grease down, always wash this off. I could see there's pebbles right here. That's just the way you mow, man. It's the way you mud mow. Always take care of your equipment. You always want to look down here. This is where your clip clips in. This looks beautiful, nothing wrong with it. If you're only using your mower to mow your lawn, very rarely will you have to do this kind of prep. I mean, it's always good to anyways, because, I mean, you're still off-roading. It's just not as aggressive. But, you know, greasing it by the nipples doesn't kill it. But if you guys remember what happened to the Cub Cadet's wheel, that was because I kept using the nipples. I didn't at all take the wheel off and do what I'm doing right now. And I had to get a new axle shaft, because up here and up here, there was rocks and debris, and all I kept doing was feeding it grease. I wasn't actually solving the problem, which was removing that material. So now that I know that, you know, I've been doing this ever since. Because that could literally be the difference between paying $60 for 2 new axle shafts or paying nothing. So you always want to keep that in mind. There we go. The other common thing I see people not do is grease the transmission axles in the back. A lot of people will tell you it's not necessary. I say it is, because that wheel, sure, it's not a freewheel like this, so it's not fully depending on this axle shaft due to the work. It's got a keyway for the transmission to spin it.
However, it is going to be slided in and out for any kind of repairs you want to do. If I want to put fatter tires on this, I'm going to want to take them off, and I don't want to hammer the hell out of my rims because I didn't take the time to grease the axle shafts. You always want to grease them up, even if you don't plan on upgrading your mower, and you're just having a standard lawnmower. You still want to do it as part of the procedure because you could have a flat tire as you're mowing your lawn, slap a new tire and rim on, and now you can't because you didn't grease it, or at least it makes it challenging. So you always want to do that, especially if you use a mud mower. If you want to keep them strong and reliable like this baby, you gotta take care of it. All right, I have my grease. Nice. This is blue grease. You can use lithium grease. If you know that your mower runs hot and you're in hot conditions, red grease is going to be good for you. But I use the blue grease here a little more often because it's good for the wet stuff, and we have a lot of wet terrain here, and yeah, this mower's never gets that hot. If your mower gets hot enough to affect your axle shafts, you got an issue. Gonna stuff some in the back here. It looks like a lot of grease, and it is. But I want to make sure this unit is greased up good. So another thing we're going to want to do, guys, grab a little bit of grease, rub it on the front face of the tire here. So rub it just like this on the wall. Make sure that gets lubricated. And then also lubricate your washers and your clips, because these are also moving too. Want to get both sides. So, you know, this is the kind of prep that we do with our mowers. We do this with every one of them, and I'm telling you guys, there is a big difference, and we hardly ever replace these axle shafts because of this. It's really nice. It works, and it's really, really nice. Move this around. Okay, so now we're going to put the wheel in. All right. Might get in the way of the camera here. Pull this back. Okay. Get the camera in a better position for y'all. Alright, so washer's in. Clip is in. Whenever you're installing a clip, you always want to hear a snap. If you don't hear a snap, it could be that that clip is bent and it's not putting as much tension as it should be, and it could walk off. I've had that happen. So let's see if it makes a snap here. With my greasy hands. Okay. Might need the bigger pliers for this. Oh, I don't see them around. That's okay. All right, let's see if we hear a snap. Ooh, it's got tension, that's for sure. Interesting. This one is good. Actually, no, it's really good. I'm sure you all heard that snap. Woo! Hurt my finger a little bit, but that's all right. Give it a little spin. There we go. See how it's loosening up? If you ever spin your wheel and it just does this, stops like this, stops like that, that means it really needed that grease. You want it to be really free, just like that, nice and free. So that's good. And you can see how there's hardly any wobble. That's the way you want it. That's the way you want it. Right on. So that's how we, oh, there's a bird in here. Look at that. So that's what we do for our front wheels. We do this on all of our mowers. Big, small. Big or small. So I'm gonna do this to the other side, and then I'm gonna slap some grease on the upper shafts here, because I've already serviced them pretty recently, and I could see they're getting a little low on grease, but they weren't feeling that stiff. I knew something was up though, because as I was driving the mower, I could feel the resistance in the front end, and that is exactly what can cause the resistance. I'm also noticing this tire is just a little bit low on air compared to this one. So, you know, low air pressure can do that too. So this is just stuff you guys want to think about when you're mud mowing. You know, resistance, path of least resistance. You know, how are you going to do your repairs? You know, you got to think about this stuff. And it's the beauty of, you know, not just with mud mowing, but with off-roading with your vehicles and just doing anything in life, really mechanical. It's awesome to put your brain to work and say, okay, this and this is going to work. And you go to do it and it works. It's awesome. So I'm going to stop the camera right here. I'm going to grease the front end, probably off camera, just, you know, what I told you guys I was going to do. And then I think when I turn the camera on, we are going to fix the alignment and call it a day. So let's get to it. Alrighty guys, I'm going to show you a quick tip here. If you ever have this kind of style of tie rod, you're mowing your lawn, you're out mud mowing, and it bends and you lose your alignment, take a hammer, take this or a rock, whatever you can find, hammer these two ends into the ground, take the center point and just hammer it as good as you can. So try to go like that. Try to go as neat as you can along the edge. Sometimes that'll happen to you. Oops. Alrighty. Is this the best method? Absolutely not. But does it work? Yes, it does. See, it's almost straight. We're just going to give it a few more hammers here. That's actually almost dead on. So I think that's good enough. And then we're going to slap it back in. So be right back. Alrighty guys, we're going to take our cotter pin and our rod. Make sure this goes into each hole, but also make sure it goes underneath the crank, because it will not go in if it's not. Alrighty, boom. So now that the rod is in, I'm going to take our cotter pin and we're just going to slide it on through the hole. Same thing with the cotter pins, like the tire pins. Always check them, make sure they're good. I saw one of mine was pretty bent, so I just decided, you know what? We got a whole bunch of new ones. And you can get them at Harbor Freight for like $5. Like a whole kit of them. It was not bad. The kit comes with like different sizes and stuff. So I do like that. There we go. Okay, ooh. See how it's doing that? I might have a spare grommet to put in there. Yeah, might have to do something about that in the future. But not right now. Okay. So now what you're gonna want to do is turn your wheel till it's visibly straight. So we're gonna want to look back here. You want to see, all right, so this wheel's, I'd say like right there is pretty straight. This one's a little off. You kind of got to eyeball it. A little more there. On the money, I believe. Perfect. So you're going to want to do, as we can obviously see, this is aligned just fine. So the rod was probably off by a little bit, but usually what you do, let me just make sure this isn't, Yeah, wheel's fine. Usually what you do if you got these visibly straight and this was cockeyed like this, you just take the cover off, unbolt the steering wheel, get it to straighten out the steering wheel, and then install it, and you're good to go. But this is nice, and the steering feels much better. It was getting pretty stiff. I think some of that salt and snow and grime and ice and stuff was getting to it. So got that done. Oh, that's right. Before we end today's video, I do want to have a look at this transmission shifter because I don't like that throw. I don't like that very much. So let me get this out of the way for now. Get this out of the way. Let's see. So the arm should be right here. Oh, alrighty. So there she is. Let's see what it's doing here. You know what it might be? I think that bolt is loose. Let me see. Sometimes if these bolts loosen up, it gives you a little bit of play. Put it in a gear. I think that's exactly what's happening. I can see it right up here. Let me just feel it for a second. It feels actually pretty tight, but it looks loose. Let me get the lights up further so you guys can see what I'm dealing with here. Right up here, this top guy. He actually seems pretty tight. He seems pretty tight, okay. Oh, I see the problem. Right there it is. Right here. See that bolt right? God, this is tight for the camera. Right there. It's just pretty loose. That'll do it. Just tighten that puppy back up. Thing about it, guys, is if you don't keep this stuff tight, if pressure's put on it, you might not snap that bolt because it'd be hard, but you could bend the plate, you could bend the arm, you could cause more damage because that stress is going to want to go to the path of least resistance, and right now that's what that is right there. Only danger is when you tighten that up, there could still be resistance, obviously, since it's a shifter, and it could put that somewhere else down the weak link. So I have to eyeball it, but that's what's going on. All right. Yep. All right, we'll get that fixed because we can't ride like that. I don't want to end up having to replace the shifting arm, or worse, having to tear the transmission out and do something more than what I'd want to do. If this is the bolt, I think it is. We don't want to over tighten it because if it's too tight, it might make the shifting really tight. That's way too big. Let me see here. Kind of blind at the moment. I might just cut to the chase. Grab a socket. It looks like a 12, but don't quote me on it. I was right. 12 millimeter, right on the dot. Sorry for the shaky camera, guys, but you know, this is real stuff. Let's see. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Oh! Alrighty. Might not be able to see it that good on camera. Oh yeah, she was loose. Holy cow. That was loose. I'll actually leave it in 6. Top dead gear. Alright, yeah, there we go. Now she's getting tight. It's a little loose, but it is getting better. Let me see. Yep. That might be as tight as we can go. It feels better, but I do want to just get a little bit of a better bite on it. There we go. That's a little better. There's not so much throw. A lot less than was before. Ooh, shifter feels nice too. Alrighty guys, well, that's pretty much it for today's video. We got everything we needed done. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you're new to this channel, I hope you got to learn something. Yeah, and without further ado, I mean, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it wasn't anything too big, but hopefully we can get out there and do some off-roading next week if things are looking good, or at some point we can get it done. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any ideas on what else we should upgrade on this thing, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, like I said before, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, so let's keep going. Let's keep going. And if you want to see more of our content, check out the Instagram and Patreon links below. And with all that said and done, I hope you guys stay warm and safe, and we'll catch you guys next time. This is Impossible Mowers out.